Hi, welcome to this live stream. My name is Paula, and I'm a writer. I'm also an INFP. So, on this YouTube channel, I talk about what it's like to be an INFP, and I also spend some time talking about what it's like to be a writer and an author. So, usually on Wednesdays, I'm going to try and talk a little bit about writing, and that's what I wanted to do today. Today, I wanted to address a really important truth that I did not realize before I jumped into becoming an indie author. And there's something really important to note about that, and that is just having a book on Amazon or just publishing a book as an indie author does not in itself mean that you will make money. It does not mean that you will make a profit. In order to make money, the writer has to strategically market and advertise their book. And I messed up big time with that when I first started publishing my books, because I thought if you put your book on Amazon, people are going to stumble upon it, because that's how I find a lot of my favorite books. I just randomly stumble upon them. And then, they'll keep buying your book because they'll like it. No, that's not how that works. There are millions of books on Amazon, and it's unlikely that someone will just randomly come across your book or my book and purchase it and then fall in love with us as authors and continue to purchase our books. That does happen occasionally, but not usually, especially on a platform with so many other books. There's millions of books out there. So, in order to make money, writers have to come up with a very sound marketing and advertising plan and then execute it. And that takes dedication. It also takes focus and consistency. And those are things that we can't accomplish unless we are passionate about what we're doing. If we're passionate about writing and we're passionate about making some money from the books that we write. You can compare it to what it took to write a book. There's a difference between me saying, oh, I have an idea for a book, and me actually having a book. The difference is the work that went into it. To have a book, it has to go from being an idea to sitting down every single day in front of the computer and typing the story, being consistent in doing that, until after a period of time, you do have a book. It's the same thing with marketing and advertising. Saying, I'm going to make money because people are going to buy my books is not the same thing as actually following the steps that it will take for people to A, know that our books exist, and then B, be, motivated to purchase our books. And to do that, it takes work. It takes us as writers and authors making consistently taking step-by-step efforts to effectively market and advertise our books. But we're writers. So do we necessarily know anything about marketing and advertising? Maybe not so much, but we can learn. And that's something that I'm doing. So in this video today, I wanted to talk about some steps that we can take to successfully market and advertise our books. And I've broken these steps into two categories. The first is what you do before you publish your book, the pre-publishing marketing and advertising steps. And then the second list is the advertising steps you'll take after your book is available for purchase. Okay, so why don't we jump right into it? And I have my notes right here, next to me. So if you see me doing like this a lot, it is because I am looking at my notes. All right, so the first group of steps, the pre-publishing marketing and advertising steps, I've broken them into 5. Step number 1 is first, identify your audience. This means figure out who you're writing for. In other words, who do you think is going to be interested in reading your book? Secondly, analyze your audience. You want to take some time to think about this person. And I say this person, when I say this person, they represent the whole group of your readers, like the average member of the many people who will read of the group. You know what I'm trying to say? They represent the people who will read your book. Okay. You're going to analyze them because in order to motivate them to buy your book, you have to understand how they think, what makes them tick. That's the only way you can connect with them and inspire them to click the purchase button and buy your book. So that's where we're going to take a second to just sit down and think about our average reader. And we're going to ask ourselves questions like, what kind of daily problems does this person face in their life? And it's a weird question to ask, but it actually makes sense in trying to understand how this person thinks and what they are thinking about. Ask yourself, what are some of the problems that are so heavy that it keeps them up at night? You want to know what anxieties do they have, and what do they do? What activities do they engage in to try and put those problems at bay? Like, are they the kind of person who would like to go for a run to get their anxiety off of their mind? Or would they prefer to, I don't know, go to a bakery and buy a bunch of baked goods? Would they rather go shopping for clothes? Is that what helps them to feel better, to get out of their head, away from their anxieties? Figure out those things. And then the last question you want to ask yourself is, what is it about my book that can help to put their anxiety at bay? How is my book going to do that for them? And the reason we're asking these questions is because the answers will help us figure out how to connect with them, how we're going to word ads that are meant to attract them. Okay, so we've analyzed our audience. The third step now is to find them. Find your audience online. You want to find social media platforms where many of your potential readers hang out. You might try places like TikTok, Instagram, right here, YouTube, Facebook or Meta, or even Twitter, and then join the appropriate platform and consistently create posts or videos that touch on topics that will resonate with your potential readers. And those might include subjects that center around the problems and anxieties that you came up with in step 2. As well as the fun activities that they engage in to get those anxieties off of their minds. Like we talked about, maybe some people like to go for a run to reduce their anxiety. Well, in that case, you might have a video about, you might want to post a video about running techniques. See, I'm not a runner, so I don't really know how that works, but if that's your target audience, then they might be interested in running techniques or how to remain safe while running, things like that. Just make sure it's content that would be useful to them in some way or another, or that they would find helpful. And be sure to add the fact that you're a writer and you're in the process of writing a book that relates to that topic in some way. It's also good to provide an offer of something free. Perhaps the first chapter of your book, if that chapter is completed and edited, but don't just give it away. Even though you're giving it away at no cost monetarily, you do want one thing in exchange, and that one thing is their email address. Because first of all, you have to have a way to deliver the free thing to them, which is great to do by email. But secondly, as a writer who wants to make money off of their books, it's very important that you start an email list of potential readers and fans. That way, every time you publish a new book, you can send an email to everyone on that list and let them know you have a new book out. Or if you even want to send weekly or monthly updates with other interesting things to your fan base, you can do that by having an email list. So this is a great way to start one, by offering something free and then sending your viewers to a web page on your website. So hopefully you have a website that has a sign up form where all they have to do is put in their name and their email address. and then that comes to you, and then you send them the free PDF of your first chapter or a free video about tips on jogging or whatever it is. So that is a great way to get an email list started. Another thing about finding your people online is to use appropriate hashtags, not too many, not like 20 hashtags, but just use appropriate hashtags that would grab the attention of your potential readers. For example, if your potential readers are runners, once again, you might put hashtag runners, or I don't know, what's another thing? Hashtag exercise is my life, something like that. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes. Oh yeah, another thing too is Facebook groups. Facebook groups is awesome when it comes to providing a place where people who have similar interests can meet up online and just talk about their interests. So if your potential readers, if you have analyzed them and figured out that most of them are shopaholics, then there may be a group on Facebook for shopaholics, and you could find said group, join it, and not being all sneaky and just trying to like sell your book to people, but to actually contribute and have useful tips or information that will help you connect with the people in that group. And then organically, eventually, you could also bring up that you've published a book that they might be interested in. So Facebook groups is really great for that. All right, so we found our audience online. Now the fourth step is to find them in real life. And you can do this by going to places that you think your potential readers would frequent. For example, this could be like coffee shops, yoga studios, if your readers like to work out. What's another place? Like the YMCA. I don't know. I can't think of anything else offhand. But there are other like little stores or cute little boutiques or whatever. And I apologize if you can hear this noise. I have a neighbor who is incredibly loud. So if you can hear them, I'm so sorry. But anyway, so if you go to those places, what you can do, if they have a little, like a cork board, I think you call it, or a bulletin board that has flyers and stuff on it, you can create your own flyer or brochure that advertises your upcoming book and invites people to follow you on whatever social media platform you're on frequently or on your website. You can put that all on that little brochure or a flyer and then pin it to the bulletin board. And that's perfect because you know that people who are potential readers frequent this place, and they're probably going to look at that bulletin board every now and then. Another thing you can do is approach the owner of whatever this place is, whether it be a yoga studio or a coffee shop or whatever. Approach the owner or manager and ask if they have like a monthly or weekly newsletter that they send out, and then ask if you can purchase some ad space at a small cost, a small fee, and advertise your book or your website, which will, direct people to your book eventually in that ad space. That way you are getting your information out to tons of potential readers. Because the goal is, remember, one of our goals is to let people know that your book exists. Because Amazon, as an example of a popular book distributor or platform, they have millions of books. So the likelihood that someone will stumble upon our books is not great. So the first thing you want to do is get your name and your book out there. And that's a great way to do that. Another good way to do that is through meetup.com. That is, I don't know if it's international, but I do know like pretty much every major city in the US is listed on meetup.com, which is like a social platform that helps people to get together in real life, these people having common interests. Like, for example, I went to meetup.com many years ago and found a writing group. And I joined that writing group and met with them in real life at a coffee shop and started like writing with them and stuff. So you can do that for potential readers. Once you've figured out what their interests are, look and see if they have any groups in your city on meetup.com, and then go there. Go to the group and meet with them. And once again, just like when you join a Facebook group in the earlier step, once again, this is not to just be sneaky and try and sell a book to people or view them as potential targets. The goal here is to actually connect with people, to sincerely make acquaintances with them, to find out what their interests are and support them, just like they will find out what your interests are, which is writing, and support you. It's a mutual thing. And that way, you're not going in with the mindset, I need to sell my book. You're going in with the mindset, I need to connect with people. And once you do that and you just take it easy, you have a laid back attitude about it, your book will come up organically. These people will, once they like you, they will want to support you naturally, and they will buy your book, whether they're interested in it or not. They'll probably buy your book just to support you. So that's what I would do to help find potential readers and more in real life. Let's leave it at that. Okay, step 5. This is the last step in the pre-publishing advertising process. Post consistently. Consistently post media that will resonate with your target audience. Even if it feels like for a while you're screaming into an empty void, which is often what I feel like here on YouTube, that's okay. Just keep doing it, because the social media experts and YouTubers who are most popular say it's really important to just be consistent, even if it feels like you're all alone and and no one is listening to you. Keep doing it, and eventually someone will listen to you, and then someone else will, and then someone else will, and before you know it, you'll have a nice little group of followers who are potential readers, because that's the goal. All right, so that's what you would want to do even before your book is published. And I know that's a lot. It's a lot to write a book and do all this other advertising and marketing. However, it is a great experience. You do get to meet a lot of interesting people online and in real life. And as someone who is not incredibly gregarious, I mean, I like people, but I'm quiet. Doing this forces you to go up to people, to approach them, and put yourself out there. So I think it's really great for that. Okay, now let's say your book is published. It's done, yay. It's on Amazon and probably Barnes & Noble too. So what can you do next to advertise your book? There are 5 more steps. The first one I have here is, first of all, you want to alert all of your followers about your new book. This means inform the online community that your new book is available for purchase. And because people are more likely to purchase something when doing so is easy, you want to make sure that in that post, you have a link to your book, because it's easy to just click and then buy the book. And that means, so you want to post that information on your social media platforms, all of them, and also go back to that email list that you have started and email all of the people on that list and let them know where they can buy your book. Second step is to invite friends, family, and acquaintances to a book launch party. And this is something that you can play with, but what I prefer to do with book launch parties is to keep them small and private with a maximum of 40 people. This way it's a little bit more controlled. And the goal here is to provide your guests with a great time. Have some music, some dancing, some food, definitely want food, as well as the opportunity for them to purchase your book right there and have you sign it or autograph it. And you want this to be like a celebratory or festive atmosphere, so that people, when your guests go away from the party, they leave remembering that they had a good time, and they connect that with you as a writer in your book. So that way, not only have they probably purchased your book at this event because they were so happy, but afterwards, they'll probably tell their friends, oh, I have this friend who wrote this awesome book, because they were so pumped after the party. So a nice small book launch party where you make sure people are having a good time can be a great way to advertise your book. Thirdly, consistently attend book signings and set them up. Now, this is another thing where it just depends on your schedule and your budget too. Um, what I would recommend, if you can afford to do so, is to set up at least one book signing per month. If you can't do that because your schedule is too busy or you can't afford purchasing books for a book signing every month, then maybe like once every other month. But just do it as consistently as you can. And the way you would do this is you would contact local small businesses like bakeries, coffee shops. And if your target audience is female, that's really great because you can also contact nail salons, spas, what's another place? Hair salons, places like that, other small businesses, and ask them, hey, can I come in on a Saturday for 2 hours? I'll bring my own table, I'll bring my own chair, and I'll have a couple of books that I can sell to people and sign them. And if you talk to most proprietors face to face and ask them this, a lot of times they will say yes. And the reason is having a local author come to their store for a special event, even if it's just 2 hours or an hour and a half, that's kind of huge. That's a nice little not gig, but that's a nice selling point for those proprietors. So they'll be likely to say, oh yeah, that would be great. I think that might get more foot traffic for my store. And sometimes what they'll even do is advertise for you because they'll want people to come to their store to see you and also to purchase things from their store. So it's a really great way to sell your books to people face to face in person. There are two things actually that I would like to add though about book signings to be careful of. If you're going to do the once a month book signing, it's really important to make sure that you have enough books for each event. I have had some bad experiences where I ordered my books about 3 weeks in advance, and I ordered author copies of my books because you get author copies of your books from Amazon at a discounted price. However, on the day before my book signing, Amazon sent me a note saying that my books would be late. And so they were like, your books will be coming tomorrow. So I was like, okay, well, this is cutting it really close. On the morning of, I got another email from Amazon saying, sorry, your books will be coming in 2 days. So I had no books for my book signing because Amazon was late. And this has happened to several other authors who I've talked to. So with Amazon, I would suggest ordering author copies of your book over a month in advance to make sure that they actually get to you on time. Because it's pretty sucky to go to a book signing and not have any books and have to figure out how to make do. And I made it work, but it was just kind of annoying. And generally, you would want at least about 15 copies of your books for each book signing event. What's the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, yeah. The other point I wanted to make was, now it is good to also set up book signings at local bookstores, especially indie bookstores. However, those do often come with a lot of caveats. They might say you cannot advertise your book on Amazon because they feel like they're in direct competition with Amazon. And they might ask you to do all sorts of things. And then they may also take a really big percentage of the cut of what you sell your book for. So I do think it is good it's definitely a good idea to set up book signings at local bookstores and support them. However, be prepared though to give them part of what you make when you sell your books there at a book signing. So plan for that and set the price of your books accordingly as you plan for that. That may mean they need to be a little bit more expensive at that particular kind of book signing. Okay, so is that the fourth? Yes, the fourth step in the post-publishing advertising process is to advertise your book on Amazon. And Amazon has a few really great and inexpensive advertising options for authors. It's usually like a pay-per-click advertising thing. And it can be helpful, I say, to invest about $40 or $50 a month on those kinds of ads on Amazon, because it's a great way for people who are on Amazon, just like looking for something to read. They might type in, what subject of the book they want, they're looking for, and then Amazon will pop up an ad for your book, and they'll see it, and you've got a customer. So I think it's a really good way to get your book out there, to spend a minimal amount, like I said, 40 or 50 a month on that, if you can afford that. Step 5 is to continue to consistently post on social media. You want to do that by not making every post or video something like, hey, I wrote a book, buy it. That's really annoying. I've unfollowed people who've done that. I'm sure you have too. So every post or video does not need to be about the books that we write. It's often more advantageous, I've found, to post material that is going to be helpful to people, that makes them feel inspired, that makes them laugh, or tips or suggestions that they can think about and utilize to make their life better. Offer something like that's valuable to people. Your book is valuable too, but they don't know that yet. They're more focused on, remember, their anxieties, the things that keep them up at night, or the things they do to stop from being anxious. Those are the subjects that we want most of our videos and our posts to be about. And then maybe like once a week, throw in an ad where you're like, hey, I wrote a book, you might like it. So that I think like once a week won't annoy people. So that's my list of how to get people to buy the books that we write. And it is a work in progress, because I'm gonna be honest, I have published like 16 books now. And I've helped 3, 4, 5. I've helped a number of other people publish their books too. But what I have struggled with is the marketing and advertising, because as somebody who, I think of stories like every single day, I think of like 5 stories. I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but that's what happens. And I can't even write as fast as I think. But when it comes to the other side of being a writer, which is about marketing and advertising, that's very difficult for me. But listening to other people who have been successful and taking a marketing course, like now I'm finally starting to put all of that information together into some useful steps that can help me, help you, hopefully, and help the people who I'm helping them publish their books. So I really hope that this is something you can use. And I know I talked a lot. This video is like 30 minutes long. Oh my God. And if you don't want to go through all of this rambling and stuttering again to get these points, I have created a PDF of everything that I talked about in this video. So to get that PDF, you can just click on the link in the YouTube description box, and it'll send you to a place where you can just give me your email address. Sound familiar? And I will send you the PDF. So hopefully that'll help too. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with this incredibly long video. I hope you have a good day. Bye.